If I had as much money as the Catholic Church, I'd just do good with it. I'd start a bunch of schools and hospitals. I said that once, during a time in my life when I was seeking the gold medal in both flippancy and scorn. And after the most awkward silence ever, someone mercifully said, "What do you think the Catholic Church does?" If you look around the world, it's actually pretty amazing. Over 5,000 hospitals, nearly 20,000 health centers, 16,000 homes for the elderly and those with special needs. Here in the United States, 230 Catholic colleges and universities, virtually all of whom are open to students of all identities. The colleges and universities in my home city of Chicago, most committed to immigrant, refugee, minority, first-generation, undocumented college students, Catholic, Loyola, DePaul, Dominican. Listen, this is not a how I became a priest talk. It's also not a you should convert to Catholicism speech. My purpose here is simply to illuminate the role of religion in our societies, to show you that actually they're essential. We have learned over the past several years to speak openly about identity. In our schools, in our colleges, we are talking about race, we're talking about gender, we're talking about sexuality. We are reckoning with these dimensions of identity in our history. That is so important. It's all to the good. I just think we need to add religion to the list. I, for so long, took for granted the role that religion played in my own personal life. My family is from Mumbai, India. My mother is what is called convent educated in that city. Doesn't mean she became a nun, obviously. It means that she was educated in Catholic schools. She still gets misty-eyed when she talks about what the Catholic sisters at St. Anne's did for her in the classroom. My family is in this country because a university founded by French Catholic priests on the Indiana Prairie in 1842 admitted an Indian immigrant into their business school in the 1970s. My father still bleeds blue and gold. He is Notre Dame MBA class of 1978. My point here is that faith is something we need to learn how to take seriously. By the way, have I mentioned my family and I, we're not Catholic. I'm speaking in an admiring way about a religious tradition I don't believe in, about a doctrine I don't hold, about a religious community I don't belong to because of the role that it has played as a positive influence in my life. Happens more often than you might think. In cities across the country, Montgomery, Alabama, Washington, D.C., Detroit, over half of the social services are provided by faith communities. Services that go to all people provided by particular faith communities. In Amarillo, Texas, the percentage is over 70. If your town gets hit by a tornado or a hurricane or an earthquake, pretty likely the first people to show up at your front door to help are Southern Baptists. Doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, if you're atheist or Zoroastrian, if you're Chinese or Mexican, if you're black or white, they will make sure you have a safe place to sleep and a warm meal to eat. Southern Baptist disaster relief agencies have more trained volunteers for disasters than the Red Cross. If you are a refugee from Haiti, or from Afghanistan, or from anywhere else in the world, there is a reasonable chance that you will be helped by an organization called HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, founded by Jews to help resettle refugees from all nations and religions. They are not alone. 6 of the 9 refugee resettlement organizations in the United States were founded by particular faith communities to resettle refugees of all religions. By the way, the reason the United States has a refugee resettlement policy in the first place is because those faith communities lobbied for it. Clearly, one of the points that I'm making is about the civic and service role that religious communities play in our society. Our country is actually unimaginable without those contributions. There's 130,000 congregations that do addiction rehabilitation work, 120,000 congregations that do employee training work, over 25,000 faith-based groups involved in AIDS ministry. Do this thought exercise with me real quick. Imagine if all of the faith-based institutions, all of the homeless shelters, all of the soup kitchens, all of the universities, all of the social service agencies, if they just disappeared in your city overnight. Imagine what would be gone in the morning. Imagine what it would take to replace that. But there's another principle at stake here as well. And that's the role that religious communities play in modeling diverse democracy. Let me explain. So, the essential ingredient of diversity is distinctive social identity. You don't have a diverse democracy if people cannot express their particularity. But herein lies a hazard. If people express their particularity in associations that are only for their own group, only Jews with Jews, only Muslims with Muslims, only Catholics with Catholics, animosity between groups is very easy to develop. Tensions can quickly turn into violence. And that is when you have identity-based civil war, and that is what happens relatively frequently in diverse societies. It's the reason that diverse democracies are such a rarity in human history. So what do we need? We need opportunities to articulate our identities in ways that are a bridge of cooperation with people of other identities, not a bunker of isolation, not a barrier of division. That's a healthy pluralism. The ability to be who I am in positive relationship with who you are. Look, we have to get this right in the United States of America. We are no longer a Judeo-Christian nation. There are as many Muslims in America as there are Lutherans, and the median age of Muslims is 20 years younger. We are the most religiously diverse nation in human history, the most religiously devout nation in the Western Hemisphere at a time of global religious conflict. We are interfaith America. We have to get this right. I'm involved in an organization called the Inner City Muslim Action Network, IMAN. It is proud of its Muslim heritage. It uses Muslim language, Muslim symbols, has largely Muslim staff, mainly Muslim private donors. The vast majority of the people it serves, not Muslim, which is precisely what makes it such a flagship Islamic institution. I get to do things with people of my faith community, inspired by my religious tradition that helps people of all identities and backgrounds. That's what it means to be an American Muslim. The hyphen is a bridge of cooperation, not a barrier of division. Once had an opportunity to speak with Father Ted Hesburgh, president of Notre Dame for decades and decades and decades, including the years that my dad was a student there. I thanked him for what his university did for my family. And then I asked him, why would a university founded principally for the uplift of poor Midwestern Catholic boys admit a wayward Ismaili Muslim immigrant into its business school in the 1970s? This is what his answer was. There are two definitions of Catholic. Large C Catholic, a particular path to God. Allegiance to a particular church. Small c Catholic. In the Greek language, it means universal. For us to be fully faithful Catholics, Father Theodore Hesburgh told me, we have to connect our particular path to God with the flourishing of all people. For us to be fully faithful members of a diverse democracy, we have to do the same. Thank you very much.